Assalamualaikum and very good mornings. Today, our group will talk about chapter 3, which is measurable organizational value. So, first one, the introduction. So, what is MOV? MOV, or measurable organizational value, is the first phase of the project lifecycle. PLC begin with conceptualizing the purpose or goal of the project. MOV later set direction and lays the groundwork for planning and the design product. Second point is MOV is the measure of success because at the end of the project, and the MOV provide a way to evaluate whether the project was a success or failed project. The third point, developing a clear, concise MOV that is accepted by the project stakeholder is then documented in the business case. A business case not only document the MOV but also provide details of several project alternatives or options that are analyzed and compared. So next we will talk about important aspect of MOV. Uh, we have four important aspects, which is the first one is be measurable. Measurement provide a clear definition of success for all the project for stakeholder. Uh, the the second one is provide value. Time and resources should not be devoted to a project unless it can bring value to the organization. So the third one is be agreed upon. MOV set expectation for the project stakeholder. The MOV must be doable and worth doing. The last one is be verifiable. If the MOV acts as a measure of success, then it must be verified at the end of the project. The organization should evaluate the MOV in order to know whether it received the value it envisioned for the time, money, and resources invested in the project. So the next one is the project objective. So project objective consists four elements which include first one scope, the project work to be complete, schedule, time, budget, involve money, and also quality. The only true measure of project success is the value defined in the MOV. As you can see from the figure, all aspects affect the MOV value. For example, a project can be complete on time, within budget, and be defect free, but still it may not be of any use or value for the organization. On the other hand, a project that is late and over budget can still be considered a success if the benefit of the MOV outweigh the cost associated with the project being late or over budget. So, last but not least, I will share some example of clear goal. Uh, from back in the 1916, a US president named John F. Kennedy made the statement, "Our goal is to land a man and our goal is to land a man on the moon and return him safely by the end of the decade." What is interesting about this statement is how clear, concise, and measurable the goal becomes for the particular project. I think next one.
There are six steps of developing the MOV. The first one is identify the desired area of impact. For example, customer, strategic, financial, operational, and social. These are all the potential areas that could lead to the organization growth. As for customer, it will help in increasing the product quality of services. Strategic also help in rising up the market share. Financial could lower the cost involved and increase the revenue. In terms of the operational aspect, also the process will become more efficient and effective. The cleaner environment help in social areas. Next, identify the desired project value. It is simple to understand. For example, if an organization has identified financial as its desired area of impact, it may want to reduce costs of a particular processes or services. Therefore, value to this organization would be in the form of doing something cheaper. After identified the project value, develop an appropriate metric. Developing an appropriate metric or set of metrics that provides the project team with a performance target or directive, sets expectation among all stakeholders, afford a means for evaluating whether the project is a success. To develop a metric, the project manager and customer sponsor, or other stakeholders should agree on a specific target or range. The metrics also be expressed in money, percentages, or numeric values. Once all the aspects had been identified and the agreement on the target metrics had been agreed, set a time frame for achieving the MOV. Keep in mind that the scheduled completion of the project is not the same thing as the agreed time frame for achieving the MOV. The project manager and sponsor should also agree on how and when the project's MOV will be evaluated. Verify the MOV and get agreement from the project stakeholders. Project manager's responsibility is to guide the process, while the project sponsor must identify and specify the metrics and the acceptable values for the metrics. Summarize the MOV in a clear, concise statement or table. After the impact and value to the organization are verified and agreed upon by all the project stakeholders, the MOV should be summarized in a single statement or table. Provide a simple and clear directive for the project team, and sets explicit expectations for all project stakeholders. It is important to get the chance to get final agreement and verification.
Summarized and accepted MOV will then be documented in a business case. Now you might be wondering, what is a business case? Business case provides details of several project alternatives to be analyzed and compared in terms of the feasibility, cost benefits and risk to decide whether the project should receive the funding required. The alternatives may include option to either build a product, purchase a software package, or even maintain the existing status quo. Because BC is like an investment proposal, the outcome depends on the ability to use compelling facts in order to influence the decision maker. And so here are some attributes of a good business case. Thorough in detailing all possible impacts, costs, and benefits, clear and logical in comparing the cost-benefit impact of each alternative, objective through including all pertinent information, and systematic in terms of summarizing the findings. Now that we understand it, let's learn how to develop the business case. The first step, define the measurable organizational value. We know that the MOV process was described previously as is the most important step in developing BC. Step 2, form a cross-functional business case team, or in a simpler words, a team assembled from different areas or departments in the organization. It should include stakeholders affected, managers, and business specialists. A cross-functional business case team gives advantage in credibility, where these different individuals can provide different point of view and point out important items that others may overlook, so they complement each other. Next, alignment with organizational goals, where the high-level managers can help in figuring whether the proposed project will help the organization achieve its overall mission and strategic goal. Access to the real cost, members with certain expertise can help make more realistic estimates on salaries, overhead, training requirements, etc. Ownership, where sense of ownership is spread evenly among members from different areas, thus reducing political or territorial problems. Agreement, if ABC developed in isolation, it's very likely that subjective judgments and competition exist. That's why a team is needed. Lastly, bridge building, where the team serve as an effective tool for handling critics with fewer surprises in the future. Step 3 is to identify alternatives, where a wide range of potential solutions is considered, including maintaining the status quo, because sometimes doing nothing is also an option. Otherwise, other options include changing the existing business process without investing in IT, adopting or adapting an application developed within the organization, re-engineering the existing system, purchasing an application package from a software vendor, and building a new application internally or outsourcing. Moving on to step 4, define feasibility and assess risk to rule out options that are not worth going for. Feasibility talks about whether an alternative is doable and is it worth doing it, while risk on what can go wrong or what must go right. Feasibility may be viewed in terms of economic, where alternative is evaluated in terms of whether resources exist in the first place to support the project. Technical feasibility focuses on whether the existing technical infrastructure support an IT solution. Organizational impact. Organizational considers how people within organization impacted by the change. and other feasibility like legal and ethical may be included depending on the situation. Risk, on the other hand, focuses on identification like what can go wrong, assessment, what is the impact of each risk, and response, how can the organization avoid or minimize the risk.
Now we go to step 5 until step 8. Step 5. Define total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership is the decision to invest in an IT project must take into account all of the costs associated with the application system. TCO includes success costs, direct or upfront costs, for example, initial purchase, price of all hardware, software, and telecommunication equipment. Second, ongoing costs such as support, salaries, training, supplies, and maintenance. And lastly, indirect costs, which is initial loss of productivity or time lost by user when the system is down, are also included. Step 6. Define total benefit of ownership. Total benefit of ownership or TBO must include all of the direct, ongoing, and indirect benefit associated with each proposed alternative arise from first, increasing high value work, second, improving accuracy and efficiency, third, improve decision making, and lastly, improving customer service. Step 7. Analyze alternative. Even technically savvy people must understand financial and numerical tools and technique. There are several ways to analyze the proposed alternative. The most common are financial models and scoring models. Financial models is profitability and cash flow drive financial models. Cash flow models calculate net cash by subtracting outflows from inflows. Net cash can be positive or negative, and the most commonly used cash flow models include payback, break even, return on investment, and net present value. All of these have their own formula to calculate. For example, payback period. Payback period is equal to initial investment divided by the net cash flow. Break-even point. Break-even point is equal to initial investment divided by net profit margin. This will include such as material, labor, and overhead costs. Then, return on investment. Project return on investment or project ROI is equal to total expected benefits minus or subtract total expected cost divided by total expected cost. Now, we look at net present value or NPV. NPV is equal to L notation plus total of net cash flow divided by L plus R t square root where L is total cost or investment in the project, R is discount rate, and T is time period. Go to scoring model. Scoring model compare alternative or project using weight score. Scoring model can quantify intangible benefits or alternative using multiple criteria. Different criteria can be given weight using percentage. Weight must equal to 100%. This is the calculation of scoring model, which is total score is equal to W multiplied by C, where WI is criterion weight and CI is criterion score. Lastly, we go to step 8, which is propose and recommendation. After analyzing and after analyzing the alternative, recommend 1. Recommendation must be supported. This recommendation should be easy if the analysis was true. This is the guide that is needed, such as cover page, executive summary, introduction, alternative, and analysis of alternative.
Thank you. Now we will go to project selection and approval. Okay, in this chapter, we will learn about IT project selection process and project selection decision. Okay, now we go to the first topic.
Okay, the IT project selection process. Okay, the selection process determine which project will be found in a given period. Organization use an initial screening process in which business case submitted for review. And the last project that meet the minimum requirement are then forwarded to a decision-making committee of senior manager who have the authority to approve and provide the resources needed to support the project. Now we go to the next topic. Okay, the next topic, the project selection decision. Okay, the decision to approve a project require that a number of conditions be met. Okay, first, the project must align with the organization value, vision, mission, and strategy. And then lastly, the project must provide measurable organization value, MOV, that can be verified at the completion of the project. Okay, that's all for me.